Check it. Episode 136 of the A2 podcast. And now
we are joined today by
first
Mr. Connor Hartley.
Connor Hartley, our first sports psychologist. Welcome. And I gotta say, I've been listening to your podcast, seeing the whole field, and dude, honestly, what you do is really cool. Like, for those who don't know about his podcast, is like he takes different elements of sports and he tries to think of new ideas um to come up with a new twist on sports, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on, guys. It's
For sure.
pleasure to be here. I do a podcast called Seeing the Whole Field where I try to look at macro level issues in sports. And it's been a huge labor of love because I've also been trying to address those issues with my own solution. It's one thing to kind of look at a problem and say something's broken with college sports, and it's another thing to try to approach it with a solution that makes sense. And so it's been a huge labor of love, and I really appreciate all the folks who've helped me out with it, and also it's been a blast to do.
Yeah.
So
what I love about your mindset is like sports is kind of something that is evolving, right? Like I think of sports like when I grew up as a kid, these were the set of rules we used to play playing soccer, and that's it. But you try to look at it from like a more macro scale, as you're saying. Right. I didn't know how much money went into all of sports, also college sports and just sports in general. I don't know if you heard about Messi and Barcelona, how he, about like how he's been
no longer happy being there.
He's no longer happy being there. I don't know. Do you know more about it?
yeah, Messi has been having issues with the Barcelona board as the reports go, and he's come out strongly against a few of the people and a few of the policies that they've had. For example, at the start of COVID, Barcelona asked all the players to take a massive pay cut, and Messi comes out saying, "Well, we would have taken a pay cut because we had to." It's the board taking a pay cut, and so there's a board member who used to be his teammate, Eric Abidal, who he's had a lot of issues with, and so Messi wanted to try to force his way out. He requested what's called a transfer. So he requested the opportunity to change teams. Barcelona said, no, we don't have to do that. It's one of these weird rules in soccer where players can be exchanged for money, essentially, as opposed to American sports where a player gets traded for another player. But Barcelona refused this. Messi's going to have the opportunity to leave the team when his contract ends next year. And I don't know if it's a good system or not. It's a different system. In some ways, it actually gives players a little bit more freedom to say, I want to go here if you buy out my contract, essentially, like get paid, or have the other team buy it out. So the Messi situation was wild, and it's not unusual.
Yeah, it's not. Well, another thing about buying players, I think, is that there's a huge scandal in Europe, especially with like tax evasion. Messi is famous for it, and then Ronaldo's famous for it, and a bunch of other like high-tier sports player. They try their best to play with the money they have. Versus here in the States, it's because they're being traded. They don't have to do that, or do they also do the same thing here?
It's hard to say. I mean, depending on who you ask, there were rumors that it might have been an accounting issue at Barcelona because half the team did the same thing. It could have to do with Spain's tax laws. And I mean, it's not something that's widely publicized here, and who knows, maybe agents do a better job of dealing with that or what have you.
I mean, I don't know. When it comes to the whole Messi situation, him wanting to leave, you can kind of also understand it from Barcelona's point of view. You know, that's like their golden boy. That's their player. Like Barcelona has been too attached to this one player that, like, now that he finally feels like, you know what, this isn't really my thing, I want to leave. It's like about that, basically.
Yeah, there's this wild identity piece, right? Like if you go to the city of Naples in Italy, they had a player whose name you might recognize, Maradona, back in the 80s. And if you go there now, there are murals and like vigils and such to Maradona. I saw this. It's like a 40-foot painting of Maradona. Still, it's the wildest thing.
That's wild,
and it's like the player is tied so closely to the club in terms of identity to the
Mhm.
city, but it's not always going to go the other way, right? Like Maradona played for other teams also, and he has his allegiance to Argentina as well. And so Barcelona's had Messi on their team for 21 years. He joined there as a 13-year-old. And if you're a fan, he's been probably your favorite player for 15 years or so. So if he wants to change, I mean, that's heartbreaking. That's like a breakup, man. I mean,
It's like, it's not even a breakup. It's like a divorce. It's a whole, like,
yeah. Mhm.
who do I choose, mom or dad situation, right? Because some people are going to stop supporting.
Barcelona.
Some people are going to just stop supporting Barcelona and just support whoever Messi plays with. And other people are just going to be like, my loyalty stands to the ground it plays on. And they're just going to be like, oh, God.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's
But yeah.
it's a really funny thing there. And then if you're from there, is it like, am I not good enough for you? Is Barcelona, is it not?
It's true. It's true. Yeah. They're just going to be like, what, you don't like Barcelona now? What's wrong?
What's wrong?
15 years,
We're not paying you enough
all of
money.
this?
Yeah, we're not paying you
It's
enough
like-
money. Yeah, he made
But yeah, honestly,
his entire
listen.
career more than just money. His entire career,
Yeah.
it was just
When it came down to
Swing at his
Cristiano
best.
Ronaldo, it was understandable because Cristiano was just going from, he went from
United. Or before
United.
that.
No, before United, I think he was. Oops, it's okay.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry about that. Before United, I think he was in an Italian league.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he came from Portugal to United.
Yeah,
to
Portugal,
Madrid.
United, AC Milan, He went to Real Madrid. Real Madrid. He went to now. He's in Juventus, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
his
He's been
skill
jumping
is what
around.
defined him. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that's
This-
why it's not the same with Messi. Messi stayed,
A team, part of the team. Mhm.
since, as you just said, when he was 13, which is like a
Who-
huge part of his life.
Who do you think is the better, Messi or Ronaldo? Let's hear it here, folks.
Well, first I want to say, yeah, it's a totally different situation.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere for 5 years,
Mhm.
it's still very meaningful, right? And you can have a really impactful relationship with that city and club, but it's different than being there for 21 years and growing up there. As far as who's better, man, that's a question of taste, I would say. I mean,
Mhm.
Ronaldo, you'd say, has a better ability to score goals. Messi has a better ability to create goals, and it comes down to what you need in your team. I think they can both be equally valuable depending on the situation. I know that's a pretty kind of skating the question a little bit.
It
but-
is. It's not. No. I don't blame you because this is a question that's been asked ever since I
was a
remember
kid,
football.
yeah.
And it's
He wants to
like,
pick sides. Yeah.
yeah.
Barca
Now
or
they're
Real.
both
Yeah.
they've both grown way too old now. Like they're both.
They're 34, dude. What are you
Dude,
talking about? Messi's
football
34.
players. Well, I call it football because
Uh-huh.
it makes sense to call it that. If you want to call it soccer, we can call it soccer. So here,
Uh-huh.
just so we
I
can
think I
stay
know
on
what
the
you're
same
talking
page.
about.
All right, but just to stay on the same page. So in soccer, around the age of 40 is when they just not play anymore. 40,
At the
45.
very latest.
The
Yeah.
very latest.
So they're both in their mid 30s. So it's almost time. Their time has come. Like their era of football is almost over. So I think the real question is, who do you have your eyes on as the next best thing? Is it Neymar? Some people are saying it's Mbappe from, I think he's still in Paris Saint-Germain. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Or-
it's kind of wild. Like it almost speaks to how much better they were than everybody else because they're not in their prime anymore, right? They aren't as good as they were a few years back. And that's not to say that they're not still great because their level is still incredible, but in no way should guys in their mid 30s be the best players in the world if there are equivalently good players in their 20s, right? So the same thing's happening in the NBA with LeBron. LeBron is in his mid 30s also and has played, I saw this the other day, he's played 59,000 minutes, which
Yikes. Wow.
is like a 45-year-old's equivalent or something. And so if there was a 25-year-old LeBron in the NBA, LeBron might not be the best player, but Messi and Ronaldo, first of all, credit to them for continuing to work
maintaining
on their
their-
bodies and their game. But
Yep.
going forward, I mean, I really like the game of Kevin De Bruyne, the center mid for Manchester City. He's an excellent player
is.
he's not really up and coming at this point. He's kind of a finished product, but he's a real stud. And Mbappe is really great. I mean, who do you guys like?
I mean, for me, I have my eyes on. He's a French player. I saw him in the World Cup. I forgot he was really fast. I think it's
Mbappe,
Mbappe I'm
right?
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he is
Mbappe.
very good and very, very fast. Speed is everything in soccer. If you can find an open space and get to there in like a matter of 3 seconds, dude, you are doing stuff, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's what I've plus as skill, like if I'm talking about skill wise, I think Neymar is gonna definitely take over Messi's position in the whole
Name.
Messi versus Cristiano, Real
Interesting.
Madrid versus
Hmm.
Barcelona, you know?
Hmm.
Because Neymar is good. There's no denying, right? No one can say otherwise. Like his whole history through soccer was basically him being very, very good at what he does, ahead of even everyone around him. So that's why I have my eyes on Mbappe. I feel like he's going to be the next big thing.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, they're
yeah,
both studs. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah,
they're
Hmm.
so good. Mbappe is so calm for somebody his age. I mean, his calm in front of the goal is incredible, and it's telling because he never smashes his shots in. He just passes them into the back of the net, and I mean, that's like something that only older guys do usually. It's just it takes a level of experience that I don't know how he got it because he was doing this when he was 17, but
Hmm.
he knew. Neymar is exceptionally skilled as well. His issue is more just the injuries, right? And he's hurt all the time.
Yikes. Hmm. Yeah, it's a
yeah.
thing.
Here,
Um,
let's do this. Let's. Do you guys have anything more to talk about? Because I really
I
want to talk about the NBA. To be honest.
sure. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what do you think makes like someone like Messi or Ronaldo or Neymar or like they're like better than everyone else because they're all very skilled at that high tier level. They're all like at the best of their game, but there's something about is it like the creativity of how they play or like their strategies? Is it like a skill thing or is it like an intelligence thing? I don't know. What do you think, Connor?
I think it's some of all the above, right? I
Hmm.
mean, it takes a certain level of ability to because you watch these guys and it looks like the game is going in slow motion for them. And for
Hmm.
Messi, he's able to navigate the field as though nobody else is really out there, and he's
I love how yeah.
True.
and
It's very true.
it takes such a wide variety of factors for that to be the case. You have to have the intelligence, right? Because you know
Mhm.
where everybody's moving before they know where they're moving, and you have to have the skill because you got to be able to take the ball where you want it to go, where you know everybody else is not going to be, right? And you have to have the experience. You have to have been there before in order to make these plays, and then in big situations not get stressed out and freak out and not play the way that you want to. So I'd say that their calm is really important as well. And I'd say also just credit to these guys for their work rate and their continued focus because a lot of players, I think more players could be great into their 30s, but it takes a special level of dedication when your body is sore in the morning to get up at 5 or 6 a.m. and start your workout routine and not go out and party the way some of the younger guys do. And some guys continue to party into their 30s, and it does take a slice out of your game. But so I think a lot of the reason they're able to continue doing it is just their focus.
Their focus, huh? Wow, wow, that's true. And I mean that's what makes the difference between like a great sports player and like a legendary like sports
Yeah,
player,
I'd say
right?
so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
LeBron has those same things.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the NBA,
Yeah. Speaking of the NBA, so LeBron right now is I mean the king right now, right?
Yeah.
Of
I'd say
yeah,
so. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
I mean, dude, you know what was heartbreaking about the NBA? The day
so
LeBron beat Kobe Bryant's record was the day Kobe Bryant passed away,
Is that
unfortunately.
true?
Obviously, RIP
Wow.
Kobe.
R.I.P. Yeah, I
I
didn't
think
know
it's
that.
true. Is that not true?
yeah, it was the next morning.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
Kobe
announced the
like
next morning.
yeah, they had that hug, and Kobe tweeted at LeBron about how like proud he was, and then the next morning the helicopter thing happened.
Wow.
Happened. Yeah. So here's the thing. The thing I like about the NBA and about the like soccer is it's not too deep into the whole politics of the world, you know. It's just sport at
That's
the end of
true.
the day.
Uh-huh.
Unlike like okay, the NBA with the whole BLM, it's acceptable. Obviously, a lot of the NBA players are black, and I don't see any issue with that. But when it comes to NFL, I do see a lot of like politics go into it. So why is it that some like athletes decide to just jump into politics and be like, you know what, I'm Republican, I'm Democratic, I'm this, I'm that.
My guess actually is that the NBA is a little more unified on politics than the
Interesting.
NFL is, so it comes across as less of an issue. Like you said, the NBA, predominantly black athletes, right, and a lot of people from urban city centers, and the from the top down, from the commissioner down, everybody's kind of got the same beliefs. And there are some cases where you do have some more conservative folks in the NBA, and it's interesting to hear their perspective. Like Myers Leonard, for example, who's a player on the Heat. I think it was that he didn't kneel for the anthem. He was the one player on the Heat's team who didn't
Yeah.
kneel for the anthem their first game, and
Oof.
he put out a statement after saying, "I support Black Lives Matter. I love my teammates. I talk to my
Oh
teammates
my
about
God.
have the flag means this to me because I have these members of my family in the military, and so I didn't kneel, but I completely support it." And so that, that tells me that the politics are very unified. So even if you have a different belief, you kind of are still on the same page. With the NFL, you've got guys coming from all over the country, from small towns, from big cities, and totally different spectrums of belief, because it's such a big sport in the South. And it's also, I mean, it's a big sport everywhere. It's just a bigger sport than basketball at the moment. So I think you get a wider range of politics, which creates some more political conflict.
I see.
I see, but here's the thing. Why does politics have to be in sports? Why can't it just stay outside of sports? That's what I don't understand about the whole American sports. What do you call it? Is it like a legislation or
I don't think it's
I mean,
like a
legislation. I
sports
think it's just like whatever the
association?
the business owners decide that this is how we're gonna do it this
I
year.
don't know. Because
Yeah,
like in Europe, like
Ali's from Jordan, so he's really like, why am I watching basketball and this guy's wearing
yeah,
on his shirt equality on his back? What does that have to do with,
Mm.
I mean, no, it's
playing the
not that
ball?
because equality is important in any country you go to,
Mhm.
right? But it's just when they start talking about or they start to do these things that relate to American or strictly speaking American issues in politics, right? So the BLM is not really, I don't consider it as a political move for me. BLM is something that should have happened long time ago, and I've already said this in episodes ago. It's not really a political move, but like when they turn it into something political and they put it in sports where it's supposed to be for all ages, and I don't know, I'm very confused and conflicted when it comes to sports and politics. So,
Mhm.
well, maybe you can share your thoughts with us.
Sure. Yeah. And I want to make sure I'm getting this right. So some of those issues like BLM, for example,
Mhm.
it sounds like you're talking that's like more of a social movement, which I
Mhm.
totally agree with, right? It
Exactly.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
political. Should be a human truth, right? Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough. Like, I think sports to some degree are inherently political, and they kind of always have been. I think back to the NBA in the 50s when you had teams in the North and the South, and you had players who couldn't. There was like a rule that you could have four black players on your team. And again, maybe this isn't a political issue. Maybe this is more of a social issue. But you also have these guys who can't dine with their teammates at restaurants in the South because
Mhm.
they're whites only seating. And so those players they kind of had to protest, and they had to protest to change some of the rules in the NBA and change how things were going to be done. And again, I think you could say maybe more social than political, but I think it's hard. I mean, when you've got like Donald Trump saying he's not going to invite the Golden State Warriors to the White House, which is a tradition, right? If you win the title in an American sport, you get invited to the White House and you get to have dinner with the
And
president.
why did he not invite them? What's his excuse?
I can't even remember off the top of my head. I think it must have been something that a player said. I don't remember, but that was something that had never been done before, as far as I recall. That the president said, we're not gonna invite the Warriors, and LeBron James tweeted at the president like, "You bum, they didn't want to go anyway," or something like that. So,
That's funny.
so
Yeah.
uh,
Honestly, King James is just I love LeBron James. He's so cool.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, all sports is we're very tied to money, right? And this
Mm.
is part of my like my worry suspicion. I feel like it might be overplaying these different social or political trends just so they can make an extra buck out of it, right? Just because it's more of a trend And I don't know. Maybe you can tell me if maybe the NBA is it doing now? Is it doing okay now, or financially? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they're
Mhm.
losing. They did
They are
lose some
losing.
numbers over the Black Lives Matter stuff,
Oh,
which
really?
is
Uh-huh.
bad. Yeah, yeah. I think their viewership's down like 25%.
Oh, wow. That's a lot, isn't that for an NBA? That's a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah. Wow. Hmm.
I don't
every
get the racism part, honestly. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
excuse my ignorance, or maybe it's not ignorance, or I don't know what you want to call it, but this whole racism thing, I don't know how it's still not dead in the United States. I don't know how it's still very alive. Like, I'm just confused. Now it's affecting
As if in
sports.
Jordan, it's any better.
Dude, there's no racism in Jordan.
Okay.
There's
That's
tribalism. That's a whole different thing.
Uh-huh.
But like racism, like they won't not like a person because of his skin color. That's they ask you for your name, and if you answer wrong, okay, maybe.
See? Oh my God. Yeah. Mhm.
But like, no, otherwise, I really don't get it.
Mhm.
So because of the whole BLM thing, NBA lost a lot of money.
Mhm. So,
yeah. It seems like they are losing money over
and
it.
COVID. And COVID, well, also COVID is a huge factor,
I mean,
also,
yeah,
right?
that
Because
too.
people can't go to crowds. The games are like different. I've been watching. They
Yeah,
have like cardboard cutouts in the background. It's the funnest thing.
yeah, exactly. It's hard. It's hard to,
Yeah.
I don't want a blanket statement say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
BLM, and even if
Mhm.
it is, I think it's
Mhm.
like it's admirable that they're still out there, standing up for an important cause, even at potentially some of their own expense. But
Mhm.
um, did you guys read the story at the beginning of the season about the Houston Rockets owner and China?
Here, let me
No.
pull it up.
Oh wow. No. What is it?
I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's pull
Mhm.
that up. It's
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge thing, right? Like the NBA is very involved in China, right? And
yeah,
a lot of
and
money from China.
the general manager of the Rockets tweeted about Hong Kong, and it caused a huge political issue in the NBA.
Oh, here I have it ready. Ali, if you can just allow me to share, or just do that. Let me just record, share screen. Okay, so here we go. Right. Let me just pull you guys up here. So you're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
CCTV 5, the sports channel, China tops. Okay. Suspend airing Houston Rockets events on television. Sports said it would suspend live streaming for Houston Rockets for game. So why? What did he do?
So if you click that New York Times article, it might say a little more. The general manager of the Rockets, Daryl Morey, he tweeted, it was like a 7-word tweet about, like pray for Hong Kong or something along those lines.
Wow. Mhm.
I'm probably getting the one there, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go.
Mhm.
Yes, it's been also
Maury had gone rogue. Maury had gone rogue for condemning China. Wow. Yeah.
So if
yeah,
we condemn China right now, are we not going to be aired on the Chinese? Because I don't just condemn China; I say fuck China all the time, right? So it's like,
Yeah, you'll get
yeah.
cut off from China's YouTube.
yeah, I don't think
Oops.
their viewership in Beijing is going to be very high.
It's not like I really care because of we did an episode about it before with the whole Muslims in China and what they're going through. So really,
Yeah,
who's really losing? Let's be honest.
yeah.
You know? But yeah,
Somebody just, I'm trying to remember who, but somebody just spoke out against the weaker treatment in
oh,
China, and an athlete, and I can't remember who it was, and I
here,
can't
let me
remember
find it for you.
what the fallout is. Yeah.
And they got condemned for it. They were
Well,
like, stay in line or not? Not really. Is it?
I think they did it on Friday, so I don't know if we
Oh,
know
this
yet.
is
Here, give me a
recent.
second.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I see. I see. All right.
But I'll
Cool.
talk more about the Houston one while,
Yeah,
while
for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, he
you
pulls
know,
it up. Mm-hmm.
the general manager sends this tweet out, and the Rockets are known to have huge ties to China. Yao
Mhm.
Ming
Here we
played
go.
for the
Sorry about that.
Rockets, and
Mhm.
that was really a huge bridge to the NBA and China, right? Yao Ming's presence added hundreds of millions of viewers to the NBA, where they started showing games in China and especially the Rockets games. So having the Rockets general
Wow.
manager out and
Mhm.
tweet about Hong Kong like the team's owner said Daryl Morey doesn't speak for the team.
Yeah.
And,
Oh my God. Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
like with these games being pulled, there were projections that the Rockets would lose, like 10% of their income for the season
That's a
because
lot.
I mean it's a
That's
ton
a
of money,
lot.
but
Uh-huh.
it's a really complex issue since a lot
It
of
is.
Chinese people, like if the Chinese government is going to deprive their own citizens of watching Rockets games, which there are a lot of Rockets fans in China, then they're doing a disservice to their own citizens, excuse me. So
Mhm.
I don't know, it was really complex, but
True.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, I found out it was Mesut Ozil, who's an Arsenal player, and
Yes, a
he
little
was
soccer player.
very pissed off at Arsenal for not saying anything about or not allowing him. I think it was it to say anything. Ozil blasts Arsenal failure to back his Uyghur Muslim brothers or something. Here, let me share the screen for you guys. So share screen. Except here we go. Slammed Arsenal's failure to back his support of Uyghur Muslims over his alleged persecution in China. Arsenal midfielder Ozil spoke out on Instagram against China's treatment. More than 1 million. Okay, we talked about this. Arsenal did not. So yeah, I think it's Ozil from Arsenal.
Mhm.
You guys can see here. It's like you can pause the video and read this if you'd like, or you can just check it out on France24.com.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. So it does sometimes get like if it's something that needs to be said, then fair enough. But when it starts to be very political, like that's when I am just like, is that necessary? Is it not?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, what are there things specifically that come to mind that you're like, oh, this is taken away from my experience with
I mean, I remember the very first time I tried watching American football happened to be the time where Kaepernick kneeled on the flag. I thought it was my first time watching American football. I was doing it
I
for
was
my
like,
friend,
what?
and I was just like,
Yeah.
is this something they do? What's going on here? And it's just like I was like, oh, I'm not too invested in this. I shut the
Mm.
screen. I turned
Oh
on
wow.
UFC.
You turn on UFC.
Yeah, I
They
just
don't
turned
do
on
that shit
UFC
in
because
UFC.
I'm more into combat sports. That's the thing.
Mm.
I was like, fine, just for my friend, I'll try to watch a match. I
Mhm.
do, and this happens. I'm just like, okay, listen, this happened. I'm sorry.
That's true.
I was just like, no, that's me. So, what was the whole kneeling on the flag situation? What was going on?
Yeah, so that was right when I started grad school, I think.
That was a while
Essentially,
back, right? 4 years ago or
Yeah,
yeah,
that
something.
was
Yeah.
a very while back.
Hmm.
2016, I think. I think I was just
Mhm.
starting in Boston at BU when that happened.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go BU.
Uh, yeah, Kaepernick, he knelt during the national anthem and came out and said later, "Hey, look, I feel like essentially he made a statement about the flag not standing for Black Americans who were still suffering mistreatment at the hands of police and other political systems, and that turned into a pretty big thing that you can kind of trace down to now, where the NFL has apologized to Kaepernick about their handling of the situation and in recent months, and because he couldn't find work essentially after that.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Just
he
just
was
Nike bought up bought him up and spent all that money on
definitely
him.
Nike. Yeah, he was
Yeah. Poor guy.
he played
So,
out.
so was that the right move for him to do? I again, I'm sorry,
I
I'm
mean,
not
he's speaking for himself. He's speaking his own opinion, whether or
okay.
not,
Isn't
yeah.
isn't that supposed to be a good thing in the United States, like freedom
Freedom
of
of speech.
expression, freedom of speech?
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be. Supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
I don't know why you're laughing at me. I literally don't know what the United States stuff is. I'm not from there, like
Mhm.
literally.
Yeah, so
So-
It's controversial saying freedom of speech.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
debate was interesting because Kaepernick came out with that statement, right, and said this is why I kneeled, and what a lot of people kind of had this reaction that I would say is kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, where the flag has military importance to some people. It's a sign of the military and kind of loss of lives in defense of the country, and that's to some people. To some people, it doesn't have that meaning, right? I don't have military members in my family, and it doesn't have that meaning to me. So I didn't have any kind of visceral reaction to it, but some people really came out and said this is disrespectful to our country and to our military. And
Mhm.
it, I mean,
If I can
know.
stop you, I want to wonder from Ali. So like you're from Kuwait. It's a completely different
Yeah.
situation. But imagine you're in Kuwait and like like there they really like. If I were making fun of the national anthem, or if I were making fun of the flag, you'd be so pissed off at me. And understand.
Yeah, but that's because in Kuwait we don't militarize our flag. Our flag represents who we are, what we stand for, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And according to what our friend Connor here says in the States, it's more of a either militarized, where I have people serving and died for this country, or I have people in the army and some others. So for me, the Kuwaiti flag and anthem represents who I am as a citizen of that country, not as a person who is fighting for that. I fight for that country regardless, because end of the day, that's my home, that's my land, right? Like if you're not going to protect your home, you have no other home. So
yeah, that's true.
I like how you say that, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in terms of it representing you, right? Like it represents the people in the place you live, and I think that's kind of that's a good way of putting how I feel about the American flag. It represents us, right? But and I'm okay with somebody saying like it's my personal feeling is I'm okay with somebody saying I don't like how we're being treated in terms of like Black Americans. I don't like how we're being treated in this country. I'm going to kneel for the flag. But I mean, there are a lot of people who saw that as for whatever reason.
I'll say this now. I am not defending anyone because I really don't know anything about American
we're just talking here. We're just we dive into this.
But here's my thing. I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of your average Black person, right? Who's feeling that way. To me, the thing that represents me is oppressing me, not really representing me, and has basically turned
Ali, well, you see, you can't just label all Black people like that. See, that was very wrong of you.
No, I'm just saying that's probably how they feel, right?
Dude, see, that's
like,
very
that's why they're kneeling on the flag, though.
Yeah, sure. You can't just make a broad statement like that. The specific
I'm not saying
player,
again,
the
not
specific
all of
player.
them. You already know all these disclaimers. Not everyone feels this way, but like probably that's what, for example, Kaepernick must have felt like, right?
Sure.
When he was did what he did, he's just like, well, this thing is not really representing us anymore. How is something that's representing us is also oppressing us? It's not, doesn't make sense. That's why for us, I told you, quite, it's very different because equality is there, right? Everything is supposed to be there, so that's why it's like very complicated.
You know what I think? I think the issue is that they like. See, in hockey, you don't have this problem because like if there's ever like any issue, they just get in fist fights and they start fighting. Versus like in basketball, they're like, oh, we're holier than thou. No, don't injure me. Since when did basketball become more like babies than like soccer players? Like soccer players are known for like sports. Falling on contact sports. I don't know.
You know what I love? I love hockey. You know why? Because they actually get into fist fights in the middle of that. I said, they look like figure skaters fighting, dude. Honestly, it's like. And then they start fighting. I love hockey.
Combat sports.
It's incredible that it's part of the game. So cool.
It is, dude. Honestly, this is why I love. I love it when players fight. I don't know why. Cool?
I remember there are some games where they'd like be like, no fighting this game, no fighting. Is that a thing, a trend now that they're trying to get the fights out of hockey or not? Not really.
I think they are trying to phase it out a little bit, but the fans love it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, it's the funnest part of the game.
Why can't they do the same thing in soccer?
Well, because in soccer, the face is very important for brand deals. Messi has to go do sponsor ads for Coca-Cola. Cristiano has to do it for Clear and whatever. So the face is kind of off limits, and that's when punching really isn't. Like, it's no fun trying to aim for a body. Like, that just makes things harder. But when it's the face, it's like that tiny little circle on top of the one. You're just like, come here, bitch. Let's fucking do it right now. Let's go. It's funny. I love it. So it's
weird thinking about where any of this stuff even comes from, right? Like, why don't they do it in soccer? And now it makes sense, but I don't think they did this in 1862 either, when they were playing in a fucking like cow patch.
1862, when they were using literally cow testicles as a ball, dude. Anything goes. You can pick the ball with your hand, and just run for it towards the goal. Anything went, literally. I remember this from history. That was the one thing I remember. Right?
They use cow testicles for a ball,
or pig skin with stuff.
I think it's pig skin, maybe, probably, right?
It's because cow and pig skin is very tough leather, right?
Yeah.
So They would, and the ball didn't really look like the ball we know today. It wasn't very circular. It was just like a little mush thing that they were kicking around. As soon as a ball fell on the court, like everyone, even the fans would jump in and play. Like it would be just hell. All hell breaks loose because you can punch people. Listen, do whatever you have to do to get that ball in the back of that net. It was that
Yeah.
simple.
If you go back even further, the way this game was played was literally it was two towns playing against each other. One ball. You're trying to move the ball from one end of your town to the other end of the other town, and the game is like it's like 50 miles long.
Go!
Go! Yeah, yeah. That's true.
Dude, honestly, that's true.
And
Yo,
then,
did you?
yeah, it evolved.
I was
to
gonna.
what it is now.
Yeah, but here's the funniest thing I've ever seen. You guys heard of the Maradona's golden touch?
Yeah. The hand of God.
The hand of
Ah,
God.
he keeps touching, he
Maradona,
keeps
the
giving
hand
it a
of God.
hand.
Yeah, like he acts like he's gonna hit it. He just does that little thing right there, and it goes into a goal, bro. The amount of times I watch it, I'm just like, how did the referee not call it?
You watch the video, and it's like on that grainy ass like feed. It's almost hard to tell. Like you can kind of see it, but
Here, I'll pull it up for you guys. It's called Maradona, hand of God, literally. Like it's just amazing. Okay, let me just quickly.
also, have you guys seen that show Home Game that's on Netflix?
No.
They show weird sports from around the country, and one of them is this Italian sport that's kind of like these old school rules where you can just punch people and fight people. And they only play it once a year because too many people get injured. But
Oh my god.
Once
it's
a
fascinating.
year. Here, let's check it out, okay?
Have found little space in this contest.
So there we go.
It's not true of Olatico Chair at the moment, but certainly it's been true of the England team. Haven't seen that much of Haejl or Trevor Stephen.
We see here
Maradona just
another
walked
player
away.
literally
Maradona.
passing it to
Maradona.
Oh, and okay, cool, right? That was what it seems is a good head, right? Like just a little tap and it's in. Now let's look at it from a different angle here. Let's do this. Let's go lower the speed. So playback speed, let's do it to half the speed. Okay, so the ball goes up. Here we go. Okay, let me just play that normally so we can
Yeah.
look at it because I realize it cut jumps too fast. Bow. It's his, it's his
He did it.
hand.
That was
That's
his hand.
right there.
And I
So-
saw it. Yeah.
And this was like, dude, wow. I don't know how this happened. A lot of times in soccer, by the way, here, just give me a second, you guys.
Well,
I
this
was
was also like older, right? This was like in before they had all the cameras and technology that we have now to detect things. Like right now, this wouldn't slide. No way. And back
No,
then, the referee would have to eye it out himself, right? And kind
Pretty
of like,
much.
yeah.
And there was, but there was a lot of incidents where there were fights. You remember it was Germany against I don't know who, where one of the players literally headbutts the other player in the stomach.
Oh yeah,
I think
you're
it was
talking about
2006.
Zidane,
Zidane.
of France headbutting Materazzi of Italy in the
It was so, like
Who's
it
the
was
guy?
so sudden.
Yeah.
And it's like, let me try.
Who's the guy that used to bite people?
Oh,
Uh,
Suarez.
Suarez. Yeah,
Dude, you
who
know
said there's
what-
no violence in soccer? Who said it?
In Arabia, they call him Barcelona's dog. Because he keeps fighting.
incredible.
In Arabia, that's how we call him.
You know, he bit somebody who then went on to bite somebody else. So there was a joke. He's actually a vampire.
Or a
That's
zombie.
on the gene.
That's funny.
Like it was
Yeah.
super funny. But yeah, no, sports, this happens a lot. There's a lot of incidents, by the way, as well, where like things are just, like referees are doing a terrible, terrible job at
Terrible
what they're
job.
supposed to do.
What makes a good referee?
You know, shameless plug. This is actually what we're gonna talk about on the next episode of Seeing the Whole
Yeah.
Check it out. Link in the description
Yeah.
below.
All right, give us
Actually,
a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Hint us. What's
So,
the
yeah,
episode gonna be
let's-
about? Yeah.
What makes a good referee?
Field. Well, so what we're gonna talk about is we're gonna kind of run through.
Mhm.
We're talking about technology and
wow.
officiating because I mean, Ollie, you mentioned that this wouldn't fly today because we've got cameras and stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
VAR and all that stuff.
yeah, and we're gonna go through the spectrum of, you have everything from a situation where you have the players officiate themselves to having like an AI with cameras that has an override, right?
Oh my god.
And you've got everything in between. So, and so we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. To answer the question more directly, I think a good referee has good communication with the players so they actually understand what's going on and is willing to admit when they're wrong and be corrected by the cameras. But I'm going to take the stance that we don't need the sideline officials. I don't think, like, they call out of bounds and they call offsides. And to me, that's something a camera and like a laser could do better than a human can do. So.
Yeah, but you know what where the issue rises? The issue rises when it's offside by like a centimeter. A centimeter in a God knows how many kilometers or meters or yards pitch. It doesn't really make a difference, but they want to get all technical, and it's just like, no, but he was offside by like 0.5 of a micrometer, and people start getting so. I don't know. I feel like it's ruining the game more than, like, if you watch football now and watch football in the old times, matches weren't stopped as frequently as they are now. I think, and like the flow of a match is very important when you're playing like soccer, because it's like you're getting the ball, you're passing, you're going through every single player, you're almost there. Oh, it's offside. God damn it. Like, ruins the morale. It ruins the
I tend to agree with you. This is the problem right now, is that it's too slow and it causes too many disruptions. And the same thing is true of basketball, by the way. I mean, basketball, the biggest problem with basketball, I don't have a solution to this one yet, maybe one day, but the biggest problem with basketball is the last 5 minutes of the game, where they're reviewing everything and there are fouls and timeouts and out of bounds, and it just slows what should be a really fun game down. And I don't know. I mean, I think maybe the best solution is if you have an extra official monitoring the game full time and saying, hey, this happened. But even then, you're right. It still is slowing the game down a lot. And there has to be a good balance between reviewing everything, getting calls right, and having the speed of the game be good still, be enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. What else? What other sports do you like watching that's outside of your legendary trio of soccer, basketball, and football?
Man,
because I'm in love with combat sports. I love combat sports.
Yeah, what do you love about combat sports?
Dude, it's as manly as a man's sports can be. Even though there are women who actually like beat the shit out of each other in a cage, but like I was a kid who was in many fights growing up. Physical. Things got physical way too quick, especially in the heat of Arabia. Like, people got angry all the time, right? So I have this respect for a boxer who was put in the middle of a fight and still has to think strategically, and less, Tasmanian devil punching anywhere, everywhere, and So I have it's that kind of respect I have for them, where it's more strategic and less, instincts, animal instincts. So that's why I'm in love with combat sports.
The mental skills have to be so high in order to do combat sports, because you have to balance so many things, including not allowing your adrenaline to flow too high, to be able to interrupt that and still have a clear head so you can, do your strategy. Because I mean, the human instinct, if you get hit in the face, you're gonna freak out, right? Like,
yeah.
You're either it's flight or fight. Literally, it's fight or flight. You're either gonna fight, you're gonna do everything you can to kill whoever's in front of you, or you're just gonna try your hardest to run away.
And imagine training your brain to interrupt that really natural process. That's incredible.
Because this is autonomic nervous system, which basically means we shouldn't have control of that. So it's not like fighters don't have, it's not like fighters have full control of adrenaline. It's just, instead of fighting the wave, they learn to ride the wave, let's say, of, okay, I'm having adrenaline rush, right? I'm not going to feel the pain until tomorrow morning. It's going to hurt like a bitch. So let's try to, block as much as possible. So this is my love for combat sports, especially boxing. UFC is good, but my problem with UFC is there's too much hugging, and sometimes it can get Very,
Slow
very.
the game down, right?
Yeah, like it's just like I'm not letting go. I'm not letting go. It's like, God, just punch each other. Unlike there is in boxing, it only comes down to hugging when Floyd Mayweather is playing. Otherwise, it's a normal like punch for punch, pound for
The
pound.
ultimate strategist, Floyd
Yep.
Mayweather.
Either
Yeah.
run to a corner, dodge, or hug the person like it's a Care Bear. Literally.
Undefeated champion.
But he is undefeated.
Yeah.
It's a tactic in the end of the day. Is it working? It's working.
Mhm.
50 and 0, and he's 50 years old.
50 and 0. You don't have that in any other sport, right? Like there was a team that's winning 50, no losses. That's not a thing, except in combat sports, right?
Don't think
From
so.
what I understand.
No, really.
I
I
think
mean,
there is in the UFC someone who's undefeated. I think it's
I'm
Israel.
not talking about like fighting. You can do that, but there's no
Yeah.
like soccer player that's like won or soccer team that's won 50 games and has never lost.
no. The closest thing would be the University of Connecticut's women's basketball team went on like 130 game winning streak last
What?
decade.
Wow.
That's
Something
wild.
like that.
That's wild. Mhm.
Yeah, they were
No.
just so much better. They've slowed down a little bit, but in
Mm.
the mid 2010s, they just ripped off the craziest streak.
That's
Didn't UFC
amazing.
buy an island, and aren't they fighting on this?
Yeah, in
isolated-
Dubai, Fight Island. That's where Israel Adesanya destroyed.
Yeah.
Let me say this again. That's where Israel Adesanya destroyed Paulo Costa in his championship match. Dude, that was amazing. Did you
That's
watch that fight? A good friend of ours, Steve Orozco. I talked to Steve Orozco about this. I remember. I think Ali, you saw the text, did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I was literally like, listen, I have my money on Adesanya. He was like, yeah, but it's so unpredictable. I was like, I have my money on Adesanya. He's like, okay, fine. Next day, I text him. I should have cashed in because he won, and I was right. And I said on the show, with fighting sports, I'm very good at predicting who's going to win, especially if I know who the players are.
Are you putting
Right?
money on them, or are you kind of?
I wish I did.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
It's
But it's not like I care, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
But honestly, dude, I wish I did, bro. And I guessed when and how and where, and I was right on.
Ali, is sports gambling a thing in like Kuwait?
No,
or,
it's gambling at the end of the day, which is
not
against
allowed.
their religion, therefore against the states.
I mean, in the United States, it's huge from what I understand.
Dude,
right?
isn't
It's
that like one of the biggest income for sports industry?
Yeah, I
Like
think so. I mean,
sports gambling?
it depends. Like states are starting to open up sports gambling. Las Vegas, it's legal, and
Yeah.
you can kind of use websites like bovada.lv, for example.
Or 365sports.co.uk. You can also use. Wait,
Yeah.
no, never mind. I shouldn't sponsor
Yeah,
us.
I should mention that there are ethical issues if you work in sports. You can't be gambling on sports that you work in. Like I remember when I was a grad student, we all worked with college athletes, often basketball teams, and we had to make sure that we didn't put money on our NCAA tournament bracket pool because it becomes a conflict of interest and it becomes an ethical issue. But other than that, it is fun, and it's not like the UK where you have like betting shops and stuff. If you walk down the street in the UK, you get like literal storefronts where you go bet.
Oh yeah! Wow, I didn't know that.
But you
know
can do it
what's
online,
that?
I guess.
Fixing sports. This used to be something huge in
What do you mean?
the UK, especially in
mean?
like in Victorian times. I'll come back to it just a second. 1 second.
Oh my god, fixing sports? I don't know.
Yeah, fixing sports is when the result is predetermined.
Mhm.
Like somebody has agreed to take a fall or whatever.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never
Yeah.
I don't believe these things happen. I don't know. Or
I don't believe it happens nowadays, although there was that scandal in the mid 2000s with an NBA ref who was betting on games that he was working.
Oh wow, that's super no, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and he
so sorry.
Mhm.
yeah, you're good. He claims he wasn't betting on games, he was working, but that was like the consensus. I think that's what the FBI investigation showed.
But see, this is where I think gambling should be out of sports, because there are people who can make a living, no joke, out of gambling for sports. Like, especially when it comes to odds and things like this. Like, this isn't the first time. Okay, so in the UK, people would fix it's a horse riding where they have to go like It's the
horse
quarter
race?
mile or
Yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
Sorry. So
You
what
have
they would
COVID?
do is no, I
You
don't. I
sure?
did my swab and I'm negative. Thank
Okay.
God. So basically, what they would do is they would go to these like gangsters in the UK, right, which apparently existed, and literally they would go to them. They would ask them to fix their bets, and they would make livings off of it, dude. It was disgusting because they would like steroid the horse. They would give the horses cocaine. Literally, they would like blow cocaine in a horse's nose. Literally, no, it's not a joke. They actually did that. Dude. They actually did
Wild.
that.
Yeah.
They would literally be like, "Which horse do you want to win? This one,
Mhm.
okay." And
Mhm.
literally, like the horse would be like,
That's what they do to LeBron James before every game. They're like, LeBron, go
Magic
score.
powder. Magic.
Yeah.
And now they're hiding cocaine in G Fuel.
I think I saw this in an episode of Peaky Blinders as well. If you want to,
They did that on Peaky Blinders
horse-
too. Yeah,
horse
they did it very well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They would believe in gypsies and witchcraft and all that shit just to get their horses to win when it's
Yeah.
supposed to be fun and games. And
I think there's a quote too. There's like a Tommy Shelby quote about like cocaine for the it was either cocaine for the horse or cocaine for the jockey. I don't remember, but maybe both. But or money for the jockey, cocaine for the horse. I think that's what it
Yep.
was. But,
money for the jockey, cocaine for the horse.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, I was told I have a very good British accent. Apparently,
that was good.
Thank you.
That was good, Tommy. It's your
Um,
brother Arthur.
well, Connor,
This
this is a lot of fun. Yeah, this one we're running out of time here, but I know you got to catch that Seahawks game.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude. hmm
more
good.
life too. Yeah,
It was
more
a lot
love
of fun.
too.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks
coming on.
for being on,
Yeah,
guys.
appreciate it.
Blast.
Great, man. What
It
a
was a lot
good
of fun.
talk.
Mhm.
Honestly, I enjoyed this. So, if you reached this part of the episode, guys, come on, let's subscribe.
Is there anything, Connor, you want to say, shout out before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just shout out Seeing the Whole Field podcast.
Link
Yeah.
in the description below.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, it's like what we talked about, but more. Next episode, referee.
Yeah.
I want to check that one out.
Yeah, I'm also gonna check that out because I really want to know. So, please do check out his podcast. Link will be in the description below, or they can find it in iHeartRadio. I think in Radio Heart, is it?
Connor, are you sponsored by Connor Hart's Radio?
Radio Shack, was it? I'm sorry. I can't
Radio
remember.
Shack. That got shut
Dude.
down. That got bankrupt.
Oh, did that really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out of business. It's a big deal there for a while. All year last year in Boston, they were, or yeah, that year in Boston, they were having
They
some
shut it
awesome.
down.
Um, but yeah, they should be on all your local podcatchers. It's on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Anchor.
There we
all-
go. And here,
While you're checking out his page, you might as well check out our page again, A2 the show. For
the
more,
show on
yeah.
Instagram, we're on everywhere you can find our show on.
Yes.
Soon we're gonna probably be on Twitter. I don't know, maybe. Or
Maybe like, subscribe, please. Come on,
Like,
smash.
subscribe.
You've been watching. We're this
Comment.
far. You have. Come on. Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly. Anyways, you know how we sign out. We've been doing this since episode 1. It's a salute to cover the camp and peace.
Why waste your time? You're wasting my time and our time being in this tutorial talking about stuff like we're all being fake about it. Like if somebody was real about it, we would have real conversations. Like we
Yeah.
talked about like tattoos or stuff, right? Like, okay, you walk in and you want to see like a physician and, they're supposed to be professional. And it's like, well, what does that look like, right? No, but like also like, let's say my hair, right? Like I don't put like too much effort, but like that's also because I spend time on other stuff and I value other stuff. But like somebody
There you
coming
go.
into like your office, like no wonder people are intimidated and like they don't, open up to physicians because like we don't look human. Like I just think if I walked in and I saw somebody say